morning, everyone, and welcome to this installment of the New Possibilities Hour, part of the Will Work for Food project, founded by Natalie Armstrong Motan in 2020. Every Thursday morning, Jean Lawler and I host another cutting-edge presentation for mediators, arbitrators, lawyers, and everybody who negotiates. As you know, there's no charge for these great webinars. Rather, we ask you to contribute to a food bank if you like what you see. And so far, our audiences have been so generous, contributing in honor of our great speakers. Natalie Armstrong Motan, if you would please, give us the running total of just how much our audiences have contributed.
Thanks so much, Jeff. You know, we really do belong to one of the loveliest industries on the planet. And to date, our colleagues have let us know about $522,918.67 worth of donations made to food banks worldwide, feeding hundreds of thousands, millions of people.
Amazing. Thank you, everyone. And today we have another outstanding speaker, and I know those of you who are able will be able to contribute in his honor as well, and that's Martin D. Singer. Marty Singer is a founding member of the law firm Lavely and Singer Professional Corporation in Los Angeles, specializing in entertainment and business litigation. For over 35 years, Marty Singer has represented high-profile individuals and well-known entities in complex and sophisticated litigation. He has been involved in litigating all areas of intellectual property, privacy protection, defamation, accounting, business, and entertainment-related matters. Additionally, he has handled litigation involving Fortune 500 companies and individuals included in the Forbes 400 and a variety of other people and businesses. He's tried over 100 arbitrations and jury trials. Marty Singer has represented some of the most respected actors, recording artists, writers, producers, directors, and athletes in high-profile lawsuits. For decades, he has represented influential celebrities, including Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Eddie Murphy, Leonardo DiCaprio, Bruce Willis, Jennifer Lawrence, Sofia Vergara, Scarlett Johansson, Jason Statham, Kevin Costner, John Travolta, Oprah Winfrey, Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, Sharon Stone, Jerry Bruckheimer, Elton John, Celine Dion, Snoop Dogg, Tyler Perry, Heidi Klum, Simon Cowell, Ellen DeGeneres, Stevie Wonder, LeBron James, and Magic Johnson. Wow, what a client roster. Today, Marty is going to be speaking to us about negotiating for celebrities. And we're going to ask you, please, to contribute, if you're in a position to do so, to the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank in Marty Singer's honor. Marty, we're so glad you're here. If you'd like to tell us a little bit about the LA Regional Food Bank, and then tell us about negotiating with celebrities, the floor is yours.
Well, with respect to the food bank, the Los Angeles Food Bank, I know that when the pandemic started, and I think it was very good for, and it's, by the way, it's an unbelievable thing that you've accomplished, Natalie and Jeff and everyone else who's behind this to have already raised over $500,000. This is just a wonderful cause. And it's just terrific because one of the biggest problems we have, not only in LA, where I know most of you may be from, but throughout the country and even throughout the world, is hunger. And we really should not have people who are not able to eat, especially when small donations, even $100, even less, but a small donation of $100 can lead to many meals for people who cannot eat. And we do not need people who are starving. We have tremendous homelessness, and it's hard enough with the economy that people should make sure that people can eat. Anyway, I wasn't prepared to talk about the LA Food Bank, other than I believe, listen, any food bank that anyone wants to generate is fine. I just was asked what is the one I donate to, but I believe that if anyone wants to donate to any food bank in their area or their favorite food bank, that's where it should be done. It doesn't have to go to the LA food banks. Go to any food bank throughout the world, because we shouldn't just be concerned about people in Los Angeles. We should be concerned with people throughout the world. So I would just say that it's an honor. I know Jeff for many years, one of the top, if not one of the best mediators in the United States, not just Los Angeles. And he asked me a while back, and I apologize. I know people know, but he has been very difficult. I have a very busy schedule. I've been practicing for quite a while. In fact, I was happy. I had an arbitration. I just finished an arbitration 2 days ago. Was only expected to end about a week ago, and yet it lasted so long, but I'm glad. But there were a couple of other times we were trying to schedule to speak, and I had other commitments in court or arbitrations. I even had a trial. But I'd like to now talk about generally what I do. First of all, what I do is I'm a litigation lawyer. And I think generally you're not going to be dealing with mediators unless you're a litigation lawyer. And what do I mean by litigation lawyers? I try cases. I handle cases, even though Jeff gave a tremendous background of some of my clients and a lot of the clients I've represented over the years. I don't consider myself an entertainment lawyer. In fact, when we interview prospective people to work at our firm, they want to be an entertainment lawyer right away. That's a ding against them because we're looking for litigation lawyers. But what I am is basically a litigation lawyer. And although I've represented clients for over 40 years, I've represented people who are as indicate, some of the most high profile celebrities, which include actors, actresses, directors, producers, athletes, some of the most famous politicians, although I don't know if they're a celebrity, but they certainly are in the public eye, and public personalities, where people now on social media are considered a quote celebrity. But the issue is that what I want to talk about is, what do you do when you're representing someone like that? And it's not much different than when you represent a non-celebrity. Even though I have a practice of representing famous people, I represent a lot of people who are not famous. Excuse me. And so, but there is a difference when you represent a celebrity, not so much because they're famous, it's because they're different in the sense of how do you deal with them. And the reason it's different is most people, and include, I presume, everybody on this Zoom today, when they want to deal with their representatives, whether there's a lawyer or an accountant or anyone else who's involved in their life, they deal with them directly. But that's not how it works with celebrities. Most celebrities have representatives. The one that is who has the most involved with them is someone called a manager. And it's not important to distinguish what it is between but manager, think if you had a company and you had a CEO at the top of the food bank or at the top of the chart. That's the person where everyone else flows through. And many times you don't even deal with the celebrity, you deal just with the manager. Or sometimes it could be what's known as an accountant business manager. So, or you could even deal sometimes with an agent or a business partner. So many times when you are representing a celebrity, you're not really dealing exclusive, and you don't deal exclusive with a celebrity on certain matters you do, but for the most part, you deal with representatives. And now, the type of cases I'm going to be talking about are really the type of cases that which happens now against celebrities, especially after Me Too in October 2017, although I'm doing these type of cases for 30 years, is cases where potentially, if it became public, or cases that are going public, where the person could lose their livelihood completely. There's the words you hear, this person has got canceled, this person can't work any longer. Those are the kind of cases I get involved with. Unfortunately, I just had one 2 weeks ago. And what I say unfortunately, because these cases can ruin someone's life and ruin their career. And when you represent them, and many of these cases that involve these high profile individuals, I would say today's day and age, virtually all of them that I'm involved with, and I believe that virtually all cases that most people who represent celebrities or someone in the public eye are settled in a mediation. When I started practicing law and maybe even up to 15 years ago, or then you generally you don't settle cases. You used to settle cases, you call the lawyer on the other side and you try to work something out, and or you communicate in writing, try to see if you can work out a deal, or you many times go to court. They'd put you in a room. You try to work it out directly with the lawyers. You can still do that, and a lot of lawyers do that. But the mediation business, and it's very important that we have mediation, because without mediators, I don't think we would settle anywhere as many type of cases as we have, because of what they've able to accomplish, at least prior to settlement. And so one of the problems you have is when you represent a celebrity, anyone who's on the other side believes that their case is worth significantly more than any other case. I had a dog bite case. Now, that's not going to hurt someone's career. But the guy was a action star. One of the people was not mentioned, but it's not important who the person is. And it's a dog bite case. Yes, the person was hurt, no scarring. They were asking for millions of dollars if we read a verdict report or jury reports, at most, they might get anywhere from 50 to 150,000. It depends. But the issue was here is that now they think the celebrity is rich, and they think of another important fact, which people don't realize. Is a celebrity going to want to sit in a courtroom for a week and have the media spotlight on them going to court every day because their dog bit someone? And the answer is no. And so what do you have to do to try to settle that dispute to avoid, and the second issue in that type of case is most people have insurance. So as the attorney representing the celebrity, I have to convince the insurance company that just because I'm representing a celebrity doesn't mean they should pay more money, and they're not going to. But that's the kind of issue where, because you're representing a celebrity on a simple case of a dog bite, they're going to be looking for a lot more money. And so you have a different hat. Now you're not only representing the celebrity in the sense of against the plaintiff, now you're adverse to the insurance company to make sure they can pay enough money so that your client will not have to sit in a courtroom. Now, most cases that I'm involved with, which go to mediation and which are not in a position that's been settled yet, is they have not been publicly filed. And there's a reason for that, because the value in these cases many times is not the nature of the claims. It's what will your client be damaged? How will your client be damaged so much so that it doesn't matter what the value of the claim is? It's what your client is looking to, what they will lose. And so there is significant leverage. It's just like in any other lawsuit and any other dispute, leverage is the key. Who has the leverage to try to resolve this type of dispute? Now, because you're involved in these type of cases, what is the most important thing for your client? What your client wants to accomplish is not just get a release so the claim is over, because that's typically how cases settle, is you just want to make sure parties end the case and we release each other. We have no basis to sue each other on the same claims that we've asserted. The most important thing you need to accomplish when you represent someone in a case like this is confidentiality. Yes, of course you need a release, but you got to pay for confidentiality. But the plaintiff's lawyers know when they have these type of cases, there is significant increased value if the matter is not filed than if they do file it. They will get significantly less money because once it's out, the client may not have the incentive to pay as much money to keep things quiet. Now, I hate to say this, but in today's world, there used to be a concept of you're innocent until proven guilty. That is not the case today. It is not the case for many years. In fact, it's you're guilty until proven innocent in what is going on in this world right now. And the accusations itself with media and social media, people don't want to know the other side of the story. They figure that person did what they did, they're guilty. Or it doesn't matter if they're guilty. third-party studios, if they believe that someone is accused for sexual assault, someone assaulted someone, and you have evidence with texts and third-party witnesses, how the person would come back, and texts are the best evidence because people lie. I can say something, someone else says something. I could say the light was red, the light was green. Texts and documents don't lie. People lie. So notwithstanding whatever documentation you have to disprove the claims, if a studio or an employer finds out that your client is accused of something like sexual assault, they fire them. They don't care if you win or lose the case. So when you have a case like this, you potentially want to go to mediation and resolve it. And this changed, as I indicated earlier, in October 1, 2000, not October 1, beginning of October 2017. And people, if they're not familiar with what is called Me Too, if you're not in the entertainment industry or you don't really follow the news, Me Too means somebody makes an accusation against your client, and then someone says, oh, me too. I made the same allegation. But you don't need a second allegation any longer. But that was the concept of Me Too. And I think it's good. It brought down people who engaged in horrific conduct. One of the people was Harvey Weinstein. And there were many other people who were brought down in terms of engaging in conduct that should not occur. Now, what happens? Forget about a claim of rape. What if not a criminal case, but something is made, something is said against your client? What will occur? There's a term, and I brought it up earlier. You're canceled. And what does that mean? What it means is you can't work any longer. So, and as I pointed out, it doesn't matter if the story is true and you have the evidence to disprove the claim. So the person can not only lose their career for a short period of time, they may never work again. And it doesn't matter if the claim is barred by the statute of limitations. I presume everyone on this call knows what statute of limitations is. What that means basically is it's too late to sue, but it doesn't matter because most people have been canceled or most people don't work. Well, you don't even have to have a lawsuit filed. You can just have articles in the media. That's what happened to Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein didn't get sued. Articles came out. People came forward on social media. And I don't want to mention Harvey Weinstein, but it could be anyone. Kevin Spacey. Kevin Spacey was accused of things. He hadn't been sued, and he was off his TV show. And I'm not saying it was wrong or right what happened to him, but basically, long before he was sued, long before anyone made any claims, he was off the air. So what you need to do is, in a mediation, is you want to try to prevent these bad facts from coming forward. And as I pointed out, if a claim comes forward, you may not be working. They're not going to be hired by this employer or future employers. And it doesn't matter if they get sued. And I want to give you examples. I actually represented one of these people where there wasn't even a horrific claim. I mean, simple allegations can cause problems. So there's an actor by the name of Aziz Ansari. People may not. He's an actor who has done a lot of television movies. And I believe it was in 2018, early 2018. What was the accusation against him? A woman went on a bad date. Literally, she never claimed sexual assault. She didn't claim he, did something bad, but he was a horrific date. She didn't claim harassment. She claimed that this man was horrific on a date and the way he treated her and how he didn't show respect that he should have showed. And I don't want to make light of the woman's claim, but the fact of the matter is that what happened to Aziz Ansari on a claim like this? He had a Netflix show. He was canceled. His show he was terminated. He couldn't work for many years. Now, because of the nature of the claim, in a few years, he was able to get back slowly. He's a client of mine. I was not involved in that matter, but slowly he started to come back. But for a few years, he couldn't work. I'll give you another example. This one is a little more gross, what you want to say, or a little more, but there was no damage and there was nothing actionable. There's a comedian by the name of Louis C.K. He used to have a television series. He's had many comedy specials that are on Netflix, HBO. He's not a client. Netflix, HBO, and FX. So he was meeting with two prospective female comedians, And the accusation was that while they were in the room with him in his hotel room, he never touched them, never assaulted them. He started to masturbate. Sounds weird. And what guy would masturbate in front of two women unless he wants maybe have sex, but he didn't. And that was the claim. And let's assume, and he denies it. It doesn't matter if he denies it in this world. He could say that was not true. It didn't happen. It didn't matter. The two women comedians came forward, and when you want to talk about how he was canceled, number one, he had prospective personal appearances. He couldn't get hired. They canceled every prospective personal appearance he was going to perform, wherever it was, a club, a big stadium, a big venue. Number two, if you wanted to watch an episode of a Louis C.K. television series or one of his comedy specials on Netflix or HBO, they took them off the air. You couldn't find them. That shows you the significance of the type of problems that a client has when there's now a claim of sexual harassment, or let's assume rape, or there's other type claims. And sometimes there's no legal cognizable claims we're handling. For example, what if someone's married? Now, I've handled cases where it doesn't matter if they're married, if they're a celebrity or not. If someone's married and there's an accusation basically that he's cheating on with some other woman, the lawyer tries to fashion a claim so they're not showing it's pure extortion, but it is extortion. The claim is you cheated on your wife or you cheated on your spouse. And therefore, there may be a lot more money at stake. Half your assets in California and half your assets throughout most of the United States. You want to keep it quiet. Now, in terms of I had a case, unfortunately, a few years ago for a very famous person, and was very sad, where the person actually told me this was the saddest day of his life when we went to mediation, other than when his father died. And it was a totally made up claim. We had so much, the person didn't even know that. We may have met her once. But the kind of claim that was made is a claim that was made that could really cancel someone about a sexual assault. And he had an upcoming special. He was going to get paid $20 million. He had to make the payment. He had to settle the case. It didn't matter. They didn't know the woman. Why? It would be much worse than what happened to Louis C.K. in terms of it would be because, this type of claim. So we showed there was no credibility to the mediator, which was good because we did a great mediation brief. We had a fantastic mediator. It was on the East Coast. And we were able to resolve it. And it's not important what we paid, but they were looking for a tremendous amount of money. But ultimately we settled. And the reason we did that was what could happen if that claim came public. And as I said, there's these type of claims that are made that have impact, such as just cheating on someone. And now I'll give you an example where I represented a famous singer, and a woman claimed he sent flirtatious sexual texts, including texts that involved photos of his private parts. And he did it, no dispute, but they never had sex. But it was a flirtatious sexting, as they call it. Now, there was no real legal claim here, although she claimed emotional distress. That how dare her, even though she was the one soliciting and saying, hey, can you show me a picture of they call them a dick pic. Can you show me this? Can you show me that? Or she would take nude pictures of herself. And of course, when she presents her evidence to her lawyer, and most of the time what happens in these type of cases is men delete their texts because they don't want their wives, or they don't want to keep any incriminating texts on their phone. So she had texts, and it made it appear as a one-sided relationship, but it didn't matter. She admitted they never had sex. So what was it? It was an extortion case. And we settled that case, and the client didn't want his wife to know he was in a mediation all day. Because typically, if you're an entertainer, you're a singer, you're not going to be out working at 9 o'clock in the morning. I mean, yes, unless you're doing a recording of a recording session or you're touring, So here he is home with a wife and children during the summer, and we need to sell the case. So what happened? He told his wife he's going to go play golf. And he did play golf. In today's day and age, is what we're doing now is called Zoom. This was after the pandemic. And now virtually all mediations, not all, but most, are done by Zoom. So throughout the mediation, in order to resolve the matter, he was on Zoom in his golf cart with a cell phone. The mediator saw it at some time when he was also playing golf, because I had to contact his manager, who was sitting next to him, was one of his good friends, was sitting next to him. And then ultimately we, ended the mediation. Now, when you play golf, you're only going to be playing 3-4 hours. The mediation went 8 hours. So how do you resolve that matter? Because then ultimately we had authority. And that's the key thing when you work with celebrities. Sometimes the celebrity is not going to be with you the entire mediation. And you need to make sure that the lawyer gets the authority directly from the client, and they have someone else participating in the mediation throughout the process that you can speak with to go back and forth. But I sometimes have a mediation, the client is gone, and it's me and my partner or associate on the phone. And these are we have the benefit of doing it by Zoom, because then the client doesn't really have to be with you, as opposed to an in-person mediation where, of course, it's a little more difficult. And they don't like it, celebrities, be spending 8 hours or 7 hours. They don't tolerate those type of situations. Now, many of these cases that I'm dealing with are pure extortion. I hate to say it, but it is true, because these claims are either exaggerated, made up. And so what do you do when you have a case that involves extortion? Well, the client has a choice. Am I going to pay the money and keep it confidential? Or do I feel that I should get the police involved? Because I want the police to get involved and I'm not going to be extorted. Now, in virtually most of these cases, people do not want to file an extortion complaint. And the reason they don't want to do it is the allegation comes public, and it's a long process of criminal prosecution. So before there's a decision made to, first of all, prosecute the individual, before they get convicted, a story will get out publicly that this person was arrested for extorting Mr. X or Miss X. And so I'd say 99% of the time, my clients don't want to proceed with an extortion case. But I'm going to give you a case that I handled that actually was a case where the client went forward with extortion, but not initially. So I represented, and I'm referring to this because it's a matter of public record, Rene Angelil. People may not know his name, but they know his wife. His wife, I presume most people, Celine Dion. Rene Angelil was Celine Dion's husband, and he was also her manager. He found her at a young age, and she became one of the biggest superstars in our career. I was glad to see she was at the Grammys this weekend, and because she had some illness, but he's since passed on. So many years ago, not many years ago, but it was before 2017, he was in a Las Vegas hotel. An Asian woman approached him, doesn't matter their nationality, but a young Asian woman approached him and basically was inferring, let's have a good time. He was tempted, and he left the gambling table, went in an elevator. We had evidence in the elevator that the two were together, and he went to a hotel room. And as he goes to the hotel room, he's thinking, I've got a good marriage. Am I going to blow it? He decides, no, I'm not going to do it. He doesn't have sex with her. He leaves the room. She gets angry. He says, sorry, and that's it. Well, she hires a lawyer to pursue the claim and basically makes a claim that he sexually assaulted her, fabricated it. This was before October 2017. We could have fought it. He could have fought, but he felt the bigger risk, as I pointed out earlier. He did something wrong. He went to a woman's hotel room for the possibility of having sex. So it doesn't matter if he would have lost the case. He could have lost his marriage. So he was between a rock and a hard place. I don't want to lose my marriage, even though I didn't do anything wrong. So I'm going to pay this woman money to get rid of it. So we went to mediation. We settled it. We paid several $1 million. And one of the things you do in a mediation is when you have a settlement agreement on these type of claims, especially where someone has made up claims, besides getting confidentiality, what you do is you want to pay the money over time. So you pay some money up front and then you pay other money and you try to pay it out as long as you can. In this case, we paid it out over 3 years. And the reason is because the way we draft our agreements is we draft our agreements in such a way that if the person breaches confidentiality while the payments are coming to them, we have the right to stop them. We can go to an arbitration and get a determination. They don't get any money. And what I also put in my agreements, that and my firm have done that for many years, long before me too, is we don't believe in liquidated damages because there's many cases that have held that liquidated damages are not enforceable. And many mediators have dealt with it. You can't put in this provision. Well, what I put in that if you breach confidentiality, we get all the money back that was paid to you. The lawyer can keep his or her share, but we get our money back. And when people argue with me, I say, wait a minute, what are you talking about? This is a deterrent. We don't want to get the money back. Are you kidding? We're not paying your client millions of dollars so that your client can go breach confidentiality. She has to understand, or he has to understand, we're paying you the money. You got to stop talking about this and keep it confidential and go your separate ways. And you should be happy. That's the nature of the deal. We pay money. We're getting a release, whether the claim is valid or not. You stay quiet and we're done. And if your client is concerned about it's too much money, well, then I'm not paying you 1 penny. Because if you're concerned about a future breach that you may have to pay the money back, I don't trust you. File your lawsuit or continue with the lawsuit. We're not doing the deal. And you want to know what? They all cave in for the most part. I've very rarely had a problem. I've settled hundreds of cases like this. We get the money back. So in any event, we had a similar situation on the agreement with Renee Angelil, but that didn't matter. So the woman got paid for 3 years. And now, after the last payment was made, 6 months later, all of a sudden I get a letter. They knew I was the lawyer saying the husband, although he signed the agreement and was a release party, said, you know what? I want to write a book. And I didn't get paid much money out of this settlement. My wife got all the money for the most part, even though it was community property. And I'm going to write a book. I contact them. What do you mean write a book? It's covered by the settlement agreement. Well, we can avoid the book. You can buy the book. I said, buy the book? Why would I want to buy your book? Well, if not, we're going to write a book. I said, okay, well, what would it cost to buy the book? $20 million. So now my client is in a situation with, I paid these women, this couple of 3.5 years ago, $3 million. Now they come back for $20 million. And again, now he's facing it. So what does he do? He made the right decision. I'm telling my wife what happened, the truth. She spoke to me. I gave her all the facts afterwards. And he says, I want to get this woman for extortion. I want to get the couple for extortion. And I said, great. I think that's the right thing to do. Again, it was pre-2017. And again, it wasn't like something to be canceled. He's a manager. It could have less. And his wife was 100% supportive. And it was great that she was supportive. And they not only threatened to write a book, they threatened to go to the media. It was the worst classic, one of the worst classic extortions I've dealt with in my 40-year career. They basically said, we're going to destroy a reputation. They were going to they actually expanded upon it. Before it was that he had sex. Now he raped her. They were making things up that were inconsistent. I had the letters and the demands from 3 years ago, from 3.5 years ago. So what do I do when I want to get an extortion claim filed? I'm still trying to negotiate for the celebrity. I usually bring in a criminal lawyer because they have the contacts to try to get criminal charges filed. Unfortunately, we went to California, Los Angeles, and I hate to say, but LA District Attorney, we got enough crime, but they don't believe in extortion cases. So for the most part, they will not prosecute. We tried. We had a great case for extortion. The husband and the wife who made the claim lived in Los Angeles. The lawyers were from Los Angeles. I was here in LA, so the crime occurred here. My client lived in Vegas and in Florida and also in Montreal. DA wouldn't prosecute. Now, I'll give you an example of a similar case, not the similar case, but there was a famous movie with Myra Breckenridge. She was a woman who found problems in the environment that sued these oil companies. And in real life, she basically had an extortion claim. And I knew about this. I didn't represent her, but I was involved as a consultant, whatever, it doesn't matter, but it was all public. And it was two lawyers, and they were all in LA. Her lawyer, one of her main lawyer, actually had an office in Thousand Oaks. So they tried to prosecute and get extortion charges against. It was pure extortion. They didn't even have a claim. They said, you got to pay us money. It doesn't matter. We're going to say these terrible things about you unless you pay us money. She went to the LADA, and even before people think George Gascon is soft on crime. He is, and I'm not going to vote for him, and it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. The issue is this has gone on for 15 years here. They will not want to prosecute for extortion claims in LA County, and they didn't. So because the lawyer was in Thousand Oaks and Ventura County, he was able to file an extortion claim. So anyway, getting back to the quick Renee Angelil story. So with Renee Angelil, he's in Vegas. I contacted with a criminal lawyer I know in Vegas, the Vegas DA, the Vegas Police Department and the DA. And they said, absolutely, we'll arrest these people. This is horrible. You paid the money and they showed them everything, how the story changed. Well, lo and behold, we had a meeting set in Vegas that we arranged a meeting with the two lawyers and their clients came to meet me. And I said, my client's accountant, business manager was there to close a deal for $20 million. And this is one of the interesting things in my career. We're sitting at a meeting a few hours beforehand. I met with a group of 20 cops who were all waiting outside. The Vegas cops thought they want to arrest you, just like what happened with O.J. Simpson. We didn't convict him here in LA. They did it in Vegas. They really wanted to put all the stops out. It was tremendous. And I'm taped, wired rather. And in the middle of the meeting, the accountant was an undercover cop. He pressed a button, I guess, to let them know. And they were listening in. So they knew when the extortion was going to occur. They bolted in, and the game plan was me and I was going to not run out, walk out, and all of a sudden 5 cops came in with guns blazing, they arrested all 4 of them, but only 2 of them. They let the lawyers go, although I felt the lawyers were just as responsible for the extortion. There ultimately was a criminal trial, and I testified, and the 2 people got convicted and went to jail. So anyway, that's an example where we had a mediation, we had a settlement, we had the confidentiality, we had the right to pay the money back, and these people didn't care. Now, there was an important case that came out publicly that shows that you can bring an extortion claim, but it depends on the nature of the type of dispute. There was a case that was in the media, the representative, David Letterman, was accused of cheating on his wife by a male producer who worked on the show. And he decided, the guy made a demand of $1 million, thinking, I think, as I told you many times, you have a claim. If someone accuses you of cheating on your wife, like the Renee Angelil case, you may pay the money to avoid the problem. But David Letterman was smart. The only accusation was not that he was trying to cheat on his wife, but the guy knew he was having an affair. David Letterman was successful, and he got an extortion charge filed against his producer. And, I give these examples to clients because many times people are familiar with these type of things as I am. So now let's talk about what I want to talk about, which is the concept of mediation. As I pointed out, virtually all celebrity cases that I have want to involve a settlement of a dispute where you go to mediation. Now, what's the most important thing in a mediation is to get the good mediator. I mean, I cannot tell you, I've had mediators, and you really have to pick not a good mediator, in my opinion, a great mediator. There are hundreds, I'm sure there are thousands of mediators throughout the United States, but there are a group of mediators that are busy nonstop. Why? Because they're considered great mediators, and there's someone who will be effective. one of the mediators that fits in this classification. I don't know the other people on this Zoom because maybe I've used you and I may feel the same way about you, but Jeff Kitchaven is one of those mediators. And what makes a great mediator? So, or a good mediator? Well, you have to communicate effectively to both sides. I mean, generally, whether it's in person or on Zoom, you're going to be in a separate room. The mediator needs to gain the trust of both parties. And they have to gain the trust not only of the lawyers, because many times lawyers come in with sky high expectations, or defense counsel says this case is worthless. I'm not paying a dime, or I'll pay a dime and that's it. You have to be able to navigate a situation where you got two people polar opposites. Someone's willing to pay someone wants a lot of money, someone doesn't want to pay hardly any money. And how do you get it to a blank and you can make a deal where, as they say, what's a good settlement? Nobody's happy. But you don't want someone so unhappy that they don't want to do a deal. That's what a job of a mediator does. And what is important in my type of cases is I've got clients that realize their career could be done after 2017 on an accusation. So they're willing to pay the money, but they're not going to pay $20 million. They're not going to pay the gazillion. I had a mediation recently, someone demanded $39 million. So it doesn't matter. It's what number can your client agree to pay with, because there is a number. They'll say, fine, file. We don't care. So the mediator needs to, first of all, work many times with the claimant and their lawyer. And it takes a while because the claimant needs to doesn't know the mediator. And many times the plaintiff lawyer may not know, because we try to select many times the mediator, though unfortunately a lot of times people want retired judges who are not necessarily the best mediators, but there are some excellent retired judges that are mediators. But sometimes, especially have insurance, my experience, many insurance lawyers that I work with won't work with someone who's not a retired judge. I don't know why, but it doesn't matter. But the bottom line is you have to be able to have effective communication skills and not do what the majority of mediators, what the majority of mediators, I could have my dog have a sign, walk in and around with and write a number. They say, okay, they're at $2 million. Where are you? 20,000. Okay. They go back to they're at 20. Where are you? 1,970,000. I'll give them a little discount. They goes to you. Where are you right now? What do you mean? You just go back and forth with numbers? Why am I in a mediation? And I hate to tell you, when mediation first started, that was the majority of mediators. They would just go back and forth, thinking they were a messenger, going back and forth from one room to the next. And you find it hard to believe. But there are today many mediators that do that. Yes, they want to get the facts. Now, when you get into the negotiation, that's different. Because, of course, you're going to be going quickly back and forth because now you've gone through the facts. You've got the ability to get the trust of the client, get the trust of the lawyer. And yes, when you go back and forth at the end or whatever, that's why mediation many times takes a full day or a long time. But if you start out at the beginning of the day, you hear what the case is and say, let's just go back and forth. That's not what an effective mediator does. Now, why do we want to go to mediation? As I pointed out, you're guilty until proven innocent. You want to prevent the lawsuit from being filed. And you don't want things from being public because it doesn't matter. Someone can have a case, like I'll give you an example. I had a case recently where I represented someone famous, and he was a funny guy. Doesn't matter if he was a comedian, but he had a good sense of humor. But he had someone who worked in his house and worked with him. And he, single guy, not married, not concerned about, oh, I can't be doing. And he was making comments about this person, oh, you look great today. Oh, your ass looks fantastic today. The person was, concerned about this, but because the person was taping these meetings. And so was concerned afterwards, were presented with, oh my God, this guy was saying, so what? There was no damage, although she claimed she couldn't work again. But the client was concerned, if this goes public, I could lose a lot of money. People are going to keep, because the accusation was sexual harassment. Oh, he assaulted him. How did he assault her? Allegedly touched her once in the butt, allegedly in an elevator. It may be true by accident or he did it on purpose. But we face the possibility the client could lose $20 million, if not more. I don't know if the person would be canceled, but it'd be bad. So that's the example of a type of dispute you want to go to mediation, avoid something from going public. And it's really, you're in the hands of the mediator in these type of cases, because it's the mediator who is the person in charge. I could be effective, and I believe I'm effective in negotiating with someone on the other side. And I also have to be effective in dealing with the mediator to try to convince the mediator why I'm right, not just factually and legally, but I have to also try to point out the downsides in their cases. Now, what is the most important thing that happens typically in a mediation in a high profile case is the media has the ability to tell the claimant, once they know they've reached a number, listen, that's the number you're going to get. You got a choice. I always tell my client, make believe you're in Vegas and you got to take you got the ability to grab the pot and bring it in. If you say no, you could lose and you get nothing. But the media says today is the day to get paid money, or else you file your lawsuit. Let's see what happens. You may never get anything. It's going to take you several years. So that's where, but you have to be persuasive and effective. And the mediators know the room as to what would be a minimum amount to try to make them not happy, but at least they'll take a deal. Because I pointed out, most cases settle, both sides are not happy. The sides are unhappy. They're paying too much or they're receiving too little, but you got to pay a certain amount of money to make them happy. Now, as I pointed out, one of the problems with mediation, with a good mediator, it doesn't happen quickly because and as I point out, celebrities do not want to sit in a room, whether you're to get, I've had before the pandemic, of course, when I represented celebrities in mediations, they were with me. They're impatient. They don't want to hang out. They're bored. It's not like I could be looking on my phone or looking on my email for texts and emails and doing other things, but you got to babysit them and talk to them and try to convince them. But if the case involves something where their career could be ruined or they could be canceled, they're willing to cooperate and stay the time. But sometimes they're not willing to. So you try to get at least the client to stay with you. Look, just stay with me for the first 2 hours while the media gets all the facts, then you can leave. And I can have you available by phone or give me authority, but then I want to make sure I have someone with me as well, whether it's another representative or the manager or the client. Now, and you have to keep the client interested. You have to understand that a lot of celebrities, listen, it's for anybody. It doesn't have to be a celebrity. I've had many media. Look, most of my practice, yes, I represent famous people, but maybe 35% of my practice or 40%, I'm representing people who are not famous. And I got to keep them just as interested in these type of cases. And by the way, they don't have to be famous. They could be working for someone. If something comes forward, they lose their job, or it could affect them significantly, their legacy. They have children. They're concerned, what's going to happen to me if something like this happens. But I'm talking today about celebrity mediations. But now, so you have to also, in a mediation with a celebrity, you got to prepare the client. So you need to tell the client exactly what's going to happen. And I explained to them, first of all, in a good mediation, generally the mediator is going to spend more time with the non-celebrity client, the claimant, than with you. Why? Because they need to gain the trust of that person, and they want that person to believe they're on their side and they're their advocate. And they are their advocate, because when they come into our room, they'll be basically saying, you got major problems here. This woman is very believable. You're claiming it never happened, but I'm telling you, she's got great credibility. You can give me all the texts in the world that show it never happened. Only people who know what happened are the two people and the two clients. They're the ones that know whatever thing happened. And I'm telling you, this person has credibility. Sometimes don't know if the media is being truthful to me, but the media has to tell me something, or the client maybe sometimes. How am I going to convince these people to come up when they're acting in such a way that they don't want to pay any money? So you have to explain to the celebrities, just like any other client, the process, how long it's going to be. You're going to have a lot of downtime. And as I pointed out, I had a recent mediation. The plaintiff's lawyer was in New York. My client is here in California. we were willing to fly to New York. He, unfortunately, the mediator says, I'm now in Florida. I'm not, even though he's a New York mediator, I'm enjoying the good life. He's in his late 60s or whatever. He says, you want to mediate with me? He's got a great, he's very, very busy. You cannot get a mediation with him quickly. He said, we start at 11 a.m. Eastern time, 8 a.m. on the West Coast, 11 a.m. on the 8 a.m. on the West Coast, and 11. If you want to use me, we go by Zoom. My client was very disappointed, wanted to get a new mediator. He said, well, I think we should meet in person. I said, no, it doesn't matter meeting in person. What's more important is to get a good mediator. And sure enough, the person was able to resolve the dispute. It was a very difficult case. And there is a benefit of the Zoom mediations, you know, in my opinion, just like I'm happy with Zoom court hearings. I mean, I've had Zoom court hearings. You know, I could have a Zoom court hearing at 9 o'clock today, as opposed to being at Jeff's office and speaking. And by my Zoom, in fact, I do have a 1:30 court hearing today, but I'm going to be doing it by Zoom. And so I feel it's just a fact. If the court thinks you should come in person, I'll come in person. Now, what do we look for in settlement agreements? And this is important. I mean, although I don't want to give away my secret sauce of creating a ketchup, you know, this is, but I don't think it's a secret sauce. What I try to accomplish, as I pointed out, confidentiality is, to me, the most important thing when you represent a celebrity. And so what you try to do, as I pointed out, you want to keep the amount, of course, as low as possible, and you want to pay it as long as possible. But sometimes I've had clients be willing to pay more money so they could pay the money longer, thinking this will keep quiet. They can afford it. I mean, I had a case many, many years ago where this would have been devastating. Represented a famous actor, and he was accused of not shot. He had a minor take photos of him in his office because he was a photographer, and supposedly the minor was naked, or they had a big fig leaf covering him. And this would have been bad for the client, but they made up claims about it, including he was naked. He was never naked. And this was before Me Too. And we made a deal where ultimately the offer was going to be like $70,000, and they demanded like $5 million to start the mediation. But at that time, we threatened them. This is a fabricated claim, and I didn't tell them I'm going to commit extortion. We're going to file criminal charges, because that is extortion. You cannot negotiate a civil case and during the negotiation say, if you don't settle, we're going to file criminal charges against you. That in and of itself is extortion. So you can't do that. But privately, I told the media that was going to happen. We had a lot of evidence to prove was false. So the client was faced with a situation. I said, listen, they're agreeing to pay $65,000 because, and he was a wealthy guy and was a famous person. That's too low. I said, it doesn't matter if it's too low. That's what they're willing to take. He said, let's pay more and pay it over time. It wasn't a lot more at the time, maybe 100,000 or 100. And we paid it out over 4 or 5 years, as opposed to just paying 65,000 up front, because we got the benefit of a settlement agreement over time. Now, one of the things that's happened now is the law has changed. It used to be, if someone had even if they filed a lawsuit, you could settle the case as confidential. Nobody knew you settled it. It stopped. But now there's a new statute in California, Code of Civil Procedure sections 1001 and 1002, which provide that if a case is filed, and it can be filed not just necessarily a lawsuit, you could file an administrative proceeding, which is a prerequisite to filing a lawsuit, and people may not even know about it. But if a case is filed, you cannot keep confidential the nature of the claims, and you cannot keep confidential that you entered into settlement. So it will come out that you settled the case. And so the problem is you settle the case, but it doesn't matter. You have no choice. That's the law. You can keep the amount confidential, but you can't keep anything else confidential. But usually what you want to accomplish. So I'll give you an example. I know it's 8:56. I'll be very quick. There's a very interesting dispute I had with someone. I represented a high profile individual. He was not an actor, but he was very famous, and the people knew who he was. And there was a person sued this person publicly. So it was known allegedly for sexual assault. Well, all of a sudden, another claim comes forward, and the lawyer not only filed the lawsuit, and this claim, we had so much evidence. We had texts, we had witnesses, people knew this woman. They never even had sex. She came over. She's the one that wanted to have sex. We had texts over months saying, when can I be with you? When can I hook up with you? The guy not only filed the lawsuit, he then went on Megyn Kelly. She used to have a show on TV. She was, she was on CNN, but then she was on the Today Show. And the guy did an interview for an hour, interview with the client. And lo and behold, the guy calls me up, the lawyer, afterwards and says, Marty, I knew him. Would your client settle the case? I said, are you kidding me? He said, yeah, we would have settled. Your client would have made a lot of money, or wouldn't have made money. You would have made money, made a lot of money, maybe. He says, yeah, well, why don't you pay some money? We're not paying you a dime now. You went public. You went on TV. We're not paying you anything. And you know what he said to me? That's okay. I said, okay. This was the greatest thing that ever happened to me. I have made I've got more business in the last 10 days than I've had in my entire career, because now I'm on TV. I've got all these people calling me and on potential cases. So, okay. And the case never settled. We went forward, we tried, we won the case, but it didn't matter. So that's a case where the lawyer and the client clearly had a conflict. The lawyer wanted to benefit himself. The client maybe gave public that she had this claim, but she could have made good money because the client didn't want another lawsuit being filed against him. So in any event, I see it's almost 9 o'clock. May have had some more things to talk about, but anyway, these are some of the issues you have in representing celebrities. I hope I've been informative. I want to thank Jeff, Natalie, everyone else who's on the committee. There's a great organization, what you've accomplished to try to get people to give their time and speak on subjects. And I'm going to be donating myself to the food banks, the food bank I selected, because I respect everything you've done. We need to support people. And Jeff, I want to thank you for inviting me. And I hope I've made I'm not getting an MCLA credit, am I? No, I presume not. Sometimes you get speaking, you do it because then I can accomplish 3 credits instead of 1, but that's okay. This is worth it because it's going to a good organization. I hope I've given you things that are informative and give you things that are, interesting. Got an interesting practice, but I work too hard. That's my wife tells me that, and she's 100% right. But anyway, it's a pleasure always seeing Jeff. He's a great media. If any one of you lawyers that haven't worked with him, he's fantastic. I don't know the other people. I have the big screen. I can see Jeff taking up 90% of my computer right now, but I'm sure a lot of you else who are mediators are also great mediators. I wish you continued success. And thank you for including me in this program for this great cause. Thank you very much.
Marty, thank you so much for a very candid and detailed set of insight in what it's like to represent celebrities in high-profile cases. And thank you also for your kind words about me. I really appreciate it. I hope that everybody contributes to the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank. That's www.lafoodbank.org, or any other food bank in your own community, wherever you happen to be, in honor of Marty Singer and his fascinating presentation today. Marty, on behalf of Natalie, Jean Lawler, and myself, thank you so much. We are complete.
You're very welcome. Thank you, everyone.